I'm in life into the center. Oh my God. I will read for you in English what I read in Portuguese about Spirit's book, book 2, chapter 1, from a spiritist progression until angels and demons. I don't will read today. Only spirit's progression. I hope you like. It's so interesting and have a principal thing that I will read now for you about creation of spirits. Let me get other book, Spirit's book. Now, Spirit's book. Let me see the page. No. And let me see the page. If I lose with my finger, I will meet again. Part 2. The spirit word or the word of the spirits. I read for you Perispirit. Now I will, until Perispirit, now I will read from the different order of spirits. The spirit hierarchy and the progression of spirits. Page 1, 2, 3. So easy. 1, 2, 3. The different orders of spirits. I read this. I started the spirit hierarchy. Maybe I was read this another life. I don't know. The spirit hierarchy. Preliminary observations. The classification of spirits is based on their degree of development. I think I read this. The qualities they have acquired and imperfections from which they have not yet freed themselves. This classification is by no means absolute. No single category displays a well-defined characteristic except as a group. The transition is hardly not noticeable. I remember that read this. Noticeable from one degree to the next. The gradations blend together at their border, much like what occurs in the kingdoms of nature. in the colors of the rainbow, or even in the different phases of human life. Thus, we may form a larger or smaller number of classes, depending on how we consider the subject. Such is the case with all systems of scientific classifications. Such system may entail various degrees of completeness, reasonableness, or convenience for the intellect. Whichever way they are viewed, however, in reality, they change nothing regarding science itself. In this regard, the spirits questioned about this could have given various answers as to the number of categories without harming the overall idea. There are persons who have hated latched on this seeming contradiction without considering the fact that spirits don't give any importance to what are purely conventional. For them, the dot is everything. To us, they leave the form, the choice of terms, the classifications. In a word, the systems. We love systems. Furthermore, we need systems. Furthermore, we would add yet one more consideration that we must always bear in mind. Among spirits, as among human beings, there are some who are very ignorant, and we must always be on our guard against the tendency to believe that they know everything simple because they are spirits. Every attempt at classification demands a methodical analysis and a deep depth knowledge of the subject. In addition, just as there are ignorant individuals in this world, there are those in the spirit world with limited knowledge who are incapable of learning and formulating any kind of system. They only know or comprehend any classification imperfectly. To them, all spirits who are more highly evolved than themselves are the first order because they cannot discern their difference of knowledge, ability, and morality, as would be the case with an uneducated person among us in relation to learned individuals. Even those who may be capable of formulating a system can vary in the details according to their own points of view, especially when a division has nothing absolute about it. Linot, Jussot, and Tournefort each had their own method, but botany didn't change because of it. They invented neither plants nor their characters, but merely observed analogies, forming groups and classes accordingly. We have done the same. We invented neither spirits nor their characteristics. Rather, we watched and observed. We judged by their words and acts, and afterward we classify them according to their similarities, basing our classification on the data they themselves had furnished us. The spirits generally acknowledge three main categories of large divisions. In the last category, and at the bottom of the scale, are the perfect spirits, characterized by the predominance of the spirit nature of matter and their desire to practice the good. They are the good spirits. And finally, the first category includes the pure spirits who have reached the highest degree of purification. This spirit generally acknowledge three main categories or large divisions. In the last category, and at the bottom of the scale, are the imperfect spirits. The second are characterized by predominance of the spirit nature over matter, and their desire to practice good. And third, and finally, the first category, first, second, and third. The last category, third category. There are the good spirits, the first category, the good spirits, and they are good. And finally, the first category includes the pure spirits who have reached the highest degree of purification. This division sees perfectly rational and displays well-defined characteristics, leaving us only to discern through sufficient numbers of subcategories, the main ones of each group as a whole. This is what we did with the help of the spirits. Those benevolent instructions have never failed us. What with the aid of following classifications, it will be easy to determine the order and degree of highly evolved or less evolved spirits with whom we may associate, and consequently the degree of trust and esteem they deserve. In some ways, this is the key to spiritist science because it alone can explain to us the anomalies that sometimes appear in communications by enlightening up regarding spirits' intellectual and moral inequalities. It's dangerous. However, we should note that spirits don't perpetually and exclusively belongs to this or that class. Their progress is gradual and since is often occurs in one area more than in another to at any given time. They can display characteristics of several categories of fact which is easy to discern through their language and acts. Third order. This was that I don't read. Third order, imperfect spirits, general characteristics, predominance of matter over spirit, matter over spirit, a propensity toward evil, ignorance, pride, selfishness, and all the evil passions that result from them. They have an intuition of God, but they don't comprehend God. We don't understand God, but we accept. In more cases, have people that don't accept God, God's existence. But in this case, yes, they have an intuition of God. All spirits have this, since the simple until the superior. But they don't comprehend God. Not all are essentially evil, however, not all. Some are more frivolous, true, dog, dockless and malicious, that downright wicked. Some do neither good nor evil, but the simple fact that they do no good reveals them to be imperfect. However, there are others who take pleasure in wickedness, perceive, and are gratified when they find an opportunity to practice it. Third order spirits can ally intelligence with wickedness or malice, but regardless of their intellectual development, their ideas lack elevation and their sentiments are more or less contemptible. Their knowledge about the things of the spirit world is limited, and the little they to know is confused with the ideas and prejudices of corporeal life. They cannot give us more than faulty and incomplete ideas of that word, but the attentive observer may frequently find in their faulty communications great truths taught by the highly purified spirits. Uh, their character is revealed by their language. Every spirit who betrays an evil dot in its communications can be placed into the third order. Oh my God. They see the happiness of the good spirits, a sight that tortures them endlessly because they experience all the anguish that envy and jealousy can produce. They also retain the memory and perception of the sufferings of their corporeal life, and this impression is often more painful than was the reality itself. Therefore, endure it and from those they caused others. And since they suffer from them from a very long time, they believe they will continue to suffer forever. A belief allowed by God as a punishment. We may divide these spirits into five principal classes. This third order of spirits, where are predominance of matter of spirit, but have graduations. Okay, uh, for example, have this time this distance to base and to start good spirits. We don't can see the division. It's only a transition. Then second class good spirits, more or less, have a great modifications in the space, inside the space, until to purify. When we are so purified, it's a transition and purify spirits. Then in those spaces have various nuances and modifications in three classifications. Uh, General characteristics, third order, imperfect spirits. Their knowledge about the things of the spiritual worlds is limited. I read this. They also retain the memory and perception of sufferings. And God believe always suffers forever. Belief allowed by God as a punishment. We may divide these spirits into five principal classes. Start to 10th class, impure spirits. These are inclined, tower, evil, and make inclined or inclined. I don't know. Inclined or inclined, tower, evil, and make it the object of all their preoccupations. The matter, the tower, evil. As spirits, they give unscrupulous advice, incite discord and distrust, and use all sorts of distinguishes in order to deceive more effectively. They associate with individuals whose character is sufficiently weak to make them yield to their suggestions and be led into misfortune. This happens so much with people that was condemned to kill it in prison. They will return attach these people. They give unscrupulous advice, incite discord and distrust, and use all sorts of distinguishes in order to deceive more effectively. They associate with individuals whose character is sufficiently weak to make them yield to their suggestions and be led into misfortune, and they are pleased at being able to retard this individual progress by causing them to succumb in the trials they must undergo. In their manifestations, these spirits may be recognized by their language, trivialness, and coarseness of expression among spirits as among humans is always indicative of moral, if not intellectual inferiority, of moral, if not intellectual inferiority. Their communications reveal the baseness of their inclinations, and if they try to fool us by speaking sensibly, they are unable to maintain their use for very long and always end up betraying their origin. Certain cultures have transformed them into malevolent deities, while others have designated them as demons or evil spirits. During incarnation, they are inclined toward all the vices. They are engendered by vile and degrading passions, sensuality, cruelty, deceit, hypocrisy, covetousness, covetousness and sordid greed. They do evil for the pure pleasure of it, most often without reason. Out of hatred for the good, they almost always choose their victims from among honest people. They are the true scourges of humanity, no matter what position they occupy. And no veneer of civility can ever cover their dishonor and ignominy. And neat class frivol spirits. Night class. I read that class. Let me see. 10th class, 9th class. Now, frivolous spirits, they are ignorant, mischievous, dog, doctless, and mocking spirits who meddle in everything and respond to every question with no concern for what is really true. They love causing petty annoyances and little thrills, creating intrigues and misleading people into error through deceit and mischief. To this class belong the spirits commonly designated by the names of hob, hobgoblins, imps, gnomes, and pixies. They are under the subjection of higher order spirits. They are under the subjection of higher order spirits who often use them as we use servants. In their communications with people, their language is often spirited and facious, facious, face, facious, but almost always without depth. They seize upon human oddities and absurdities which they comment on which sarcasm and satire. If they take distinguished names, it's more out of mischievousness than wickedness. Eighth class. I will stop it because I don't know who are talk with me. I will return. Bye.